With the lives of millions of people worldwide disrupted by this infectious disease outbreak, engineers are tested on what response and actions they are going to make. It is considerably a new adjustment for all. Adjustments were undertaken, and how engineers respond to this pandemic is all discussed as we go along. This webinar is entitled Engineering Profession Amidst Pandemic. The following speakers were engineers from TSV engineering firm. The discussion will focus on how engineers made a big leap from the normal setting into a new one. First to discuss is what engineers do before pandemic, or what engineers do in a normal kind of situation. Let's hear Engineer Phil Santos.
Before the pandemic, of course, everything was normal. Normal in a way that we people were just doing or minding our own businesses, doing the things that we freely do. We have our goals or plans for this year before the pandemic. But now, they're all gone. Engineering before pandemic is still the same from now and before. Infrastructures, machines, and technologies are being made, designed, and applied. However, there are changes like practices in engineering. According to an article in Engineering News Record, it says that before COVID-19, ASCE project envisioned post-pandemic future. The American Society of Civil Engineers began the effort before COVID-19, analyzing possible effects from a global pandemic as part of its ambitious Future World Vision project to picture future infrastructure systems. Gerald Buckwalter stresses that future world vision is not about predicting the future. It's about teasing out all of the potential different future missions. You don't have to predict these things. Instead, people can model different scenarios and determine if current infrastructure systems will hold up in the future. That's what makes society more resilient. It gives us time to think about options for the kinds of things we can predict, he stated. Well, before the pandemic, engineers have been anticipating a time of pandemic, which makes them think in advance about their effects. They analyzed about the effects of the pandemic in our society and in engineering. Buckwalter even said that we postulated that the use of robotics in construction would likely get accelerated, and that regulatory safety clearances and hurdles would be cleared much faster to get some infrastructure back on track. You would want less people building it, so robotics could get accelerated. And that's really fascinating, you know. Through engineering, we have the facilities that we can use, and also The manufacturing of materials for a pandemic, in which it became faster, that makes it a big factor in fighting a pandemic, and specifically this COVID-19. I cannot say that we engineers really prepared in this COVID-19, but we have roles to play. Before the pandemic, we've been doing a lot of work in constructing or making things like medical supplies for frontliners and constructing COVID-19 facilities and hospitals, and also researching to help fight COVID-19.
Thank you, Engineer Santos. COVID-19 developed impact on various aspects, and we are going to emphasize three of those affected aspects. Engineer Merrick Villaflor is here to discuss the first one, which is the economy and employment.
Hi everyone, I am Merrick Paul Villaflor, civil engineer of TSV Engineering Firm, and I am here to talk about the impact of COVID-19 in economy and in employment. The world has experienced a prolonged period of uncertainty and unrest caused by the SARS-CoV-2 responsible for coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic. To date, it has already affected the lives of people in almost 200 countries and still counting globally. There is still considerable uncertainty around the fatality rate of COVID-19, and definitely it varies depending on the quality of local healthcare and the availability of test kits to determine the number of people positively suffering with the coronavirus. In fact, when one considers the rapid changing numbers of the mortality and transmissibility, the figures quickly get scary. Human costs is rapidly being matched by huge economic cost. According to Inquirer.net, the COVID-19 crisis cost the Philippine economy with 2.2 trillion pesos in losses this year. Meanwhile, the Philippines secured a total of 1.25 billion US dollar loan from two multilateral lenders, filling its war chest in the fight against the pandemic. And the latest loan is the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or the AIIB. This May 28 approved a 750 million US dollar loan co-financing with the Asian Development Bank for the Philippines COVID-19 response. Philippines debt swelled to 9.59 trillion pesos as the government borrows more to fight COVID-19. Our economic growth as of March 2020 falls under negative 2.0%, making our economy fall down and buried with lot of debts. COVID-19 pandemic scare everyone that the government imposes lockdowns and also restricting access to dining restaurants, in theaters, in concerts, and in some retail stores and other essential businesses where large group of people risking into close contact with another. Additionally, public health officials and experts have warned people to stay at home as much as possible and avoid doing anything that requires contact with others. Many other businesses have voluntarily closed to protect their employees and the public as a whole. Perhaps the most visible closure has been nearly universal shutdown of the professional sports industry. Those exposed to virus are being advised to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, presenting financial challenges for workers without paid sick leave. These unprecedented challenges are having economic ripple effect across the country as thousands of Filipinos unexpectedly find themselves out of the work with the potential for significant increases in employment. Government are taking actions to address the employment concerns facing facing people and to protect those who are no longer able to work. Some immediate issues on the minds of policymakers includes giving of social ameliorations programs. Once again, I am Merrick Paul Villaflor and Thank you.
The next one is engineering and construction. Let's hear Engineer Phil Santos.
Thank you, Engineer Ternida. Honestly, there are a lot of effects that could be considered. It is a widespread topic nowadays, but we will only tackle two major effects of COVID 19 in construction and engineering. Construction and engineering projects are being affected due to governments passing laws or regulations to address the pandemic, having limitations or restrictions on the movements of goods or people between or within countries, and requiring certain people to be locked down or be quarantined. It usually represents a change of the law, which has a big impact. Current effects of COVID 19 in construction and engineering are: first is workforce and workplace. With the presence of COVID 19, projects began to slow down, but that doesn't mean it is impossible to be accomplished. It just takes long duration for the completion of projects. In other words, it's being delayed or disrupted. Men in a project will also be limited. They will be reduced and they will have their own schedule or time duties, which is called skeletal workforce, for less exposure from one another to avoid the possibility of getting infected of the virus. There are many things that are needed to be done when it comes to workplace and for the workers. Generally speaking, these things must be done by everyone, not just in construction and engineering industry. Of course, number one is personal hygiene. We need to make sure that we are clean at all times and always sanitize and wash your hands properly, in which 20 seconds is the ideal duration of or in washing hands. Site cleanliness and organization, in which the workplace should always be clean and sanitized. Face masks are also needed to be worn by everyone. Management should also provide a sanitizing area before entering the workplace. And we must always observe physical or social distancing. The second topic is that it affects operations and supply chains. As I said a while ago, projects are being delayed, and so is the operations of the supply chains or the one who supplied the materials for the projects. Delayed projects operations are present in this time. It affects the operations of the projects and supply chains. Some of supplier of materials are even closed. And this greatly impacts construction and engineering. Another thing is that cost and purchase of materials are also affected. Well, despite of the crisis, construction and engineering will never be stopped, and it is always needed to be done. That is all. Thank you.
And the last one is on research and development. Engineer Vispo.
So thank you, Engineer Phil, for inviting us in this webinar. Again, I am John Kevin Bispo, and I am a transportation engineer from TSV Engineering Firm. And I am here to talk about the impact of COVID-19 in research and development. So just a bit of a background for COVID-19. In 1937, Coronavirus was first identified as an infectious bronchitis virus where birds mostly suffered from. The first COVID 19 human case has emerged from Wuhan, China. Some studies show that the virus seems to originate from bats because it shares 88% of its genetic sequence from them. Coronavirus are commonly found in many species of animals in the world, and it rarely affects humans. But for a virus to evolve and affect human, it means that it transcends on just being a normal to a more infectious virus. This is what happened in MERS-CoV and SARS-CoV, which are both respiratory diseases caused by the coronavirus. The spread of the virus took the world in a storm. It affected different government sectors, especially economic, educational, and health sectors. The pandemic made the government to be more proactive on the steps that they are making to stop and lessen the number of casualties. They look for ways like implementing an enhanced community quarantine or ECQ to control the movement of the people and the virus. But the virus is just devastating as it is, in a way that it affected different areas, including the research and development field. It impacted research and development in a way that it opened more opportunities for scientists and doctors to figure out and make a vaccine to cure the virus. It made them to research furthermore to stop the spread of the virus. Healthcare experts are working hard to keep the fatalities from the COVID 19 virus down by developing innovative new treatments. National Institutes of Health researchers are developing a vaccine, and experts at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases are designing therapies to detect the virus and train immune cells to destroy it. An example of these treatments is the one where they use the plasma in the blood of those patients who fought and won against the virus. Because their plasma contains the different cells that can defeat and eliminate the virus. So, health experts are using the plasma of cured patients to kill the virus. And it is quite effective. Another one is in Africa. The African Center for Disease Control and Prevention established a task force to oversee preparedness and response to the global epidemic. The African Academy of Sciences used the World Health Organization Global Research Collaboration for Infectious Disease Preparedness and Response Report as a base, and they held a consultative webinar followed by an open receipt of ideas through a survey from African scientists. The said survey proposed a prioritization list for research and development for the COVID 19 outbreak. So, all in all, COVID 19 doesn't necessarily have a bad impact in the field of research and development. Thus, it made researchers, scientists, doctors, engineers, and healthcare experts to be more proactive in developing and producing a vaccine for the said virus. And that's all. Thank you.
Now that we were able to know those impacts, the thing is how engineers made difference. Let us know by hearing Engineer Ian Tumakder.
So thank you for having me here. Thank you, host. I'm Ian Kit Tumakder, Civil Engineering in TSB Engineering Field. So today I will discuss how engineers are making difference. So first of all, we all know that the effect of this pandemic called COVID-19 are very critical when it comes to our studies and to our economy. instead of going to school, we are forced to study at home and doing online classes that we don't want. Other students that have unstable internets and lack of gadgets they need to pass requirements got failed grades, especially those who are graduating and becoming future engineers. We are experiencing unprecedented change on what seems like a daily basis. Here in the College of Engineering, we are committed to our educational and research mission. At the same time, many of us also have, as they say, dropped everything and devoted to our expertise to help our state, country, and world combat the COVID-19 pandemic. So, universities and other colleges of engineering out there are sharing insights about the decision-making process that goes into how to reopen a community after quarantine. There may be a hurry action with so many people eager for their lives like us to return to normal. But there are good reasons for moving slowly, right? So let's go to the article I read. Based on the article I read, written by the College of Engineering University of Wisconsin-Madison. As Wisconsin faces unique challenges prompted by the COVID-19 pandemic, University of Wisconsin-Madison environmental engineering professors has helped a critical testing lab rise to the challenge. James Cooper, a professor of civil and environmental engineering, played a leading role in the state's of testing efforts during the pandemic. Also, University of Wisconsin-Madison faculty students helped create COVID-19 application for Wisconsinities. Wisconsinities is, I think, their students in their school or university. COVID-19 Wisconsin Connect, a free desktop and mobile application that provides accurate information, social support to their students or for their community. Lastly, University of Wisconsin-Madison engineer works with local health leaders to develop COVID-19 prediction models. A University of Wisconsin industrial engineer has led the development of models are among the tools aiding health officials in Dane County and South Central Wisconsin as they prepare for the response to COVID-19. So, the university and colleges of engineering in our country are having difficulties dealing with COVID-19. Unlike universities and colleges of engineering in other country, they have the facilities to deal with this kind of pandemics, right? Engineers in our country are making impossible possible. Making impossible possible. We engineers also updates other people on what is happening around us using social media like Facebook, Twitter, and etc. We engineers also designs the testing booths for this COVID-19 pandemic. And lastly, engineers also designs the thermal scanner which is used to detect people's temperature if they are positive to COVID-19. So, to become a successful engineering, we should have these characteristics: patience, motivation, and hard work. So that's all. Thank you. I'm Ian Kit Tumakder, a civil engineer.
It is evident that we have our frontliners in different fields and aspects, And to think about it, engineers are also bound to be one of those frontliners. Let us hear Engineer Cha Villela on what roles and contribution engineers have during this pandemic.
Good day everyone, I am Charlotte Villela, a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from National University. I'm currently working as a project engineer at TSV Engineering firm, and for now, I will be discussing about roles and contributions of engineers during pandemic. Technology is very close to engineering. That is why it played a huge role in part of technological advances including computers, internet, and hospital machines. Healthcare has also improved due to the advancement in medical technologies. The improvement of medical technology has meant that the discovery of illnesses and treatment helped to save and improve the lives of people. During this time, the life and workplace of engineer upended to the coronavirus pandemic. But since engineers are an essential part of our society, many of them have been asked to continue working during this stressful time. And the things that I will mention are the contributions of engineers to help fight against pandemic. First is emergency hospitals. Local architects and engineers are working to build emergency hospitals for coronavirus disease patients. This is out of shipping containers with 151 square meter that will have 24 isolation rooms with nurse stations. The sources of masks and building tents are being addressed right now. So, the group called Rapid Deployment Hospitals decided to focus on isolation and intensive care units. This project is not just about helping the health of the industry, but also about helping people in the construction industry whose projects are on hold and in order for them to earn their wages daily. Disinfectant drones is the second one. Each drone holds a maximum of 10 liters of disinfectants that can be sprayed over an area up to 1,000 square meter wide. It allows disinfecting to be quick and easy. These units have been operating since March, including in Pasig City. Such drones were widely used in China and South Korea to fight coronavirus by spraying alcohol-based disinfectants or chlorine solution. Third one is mobile applications. This would help speed up the tracing of people who might be exposed to persons infected with coronavirus disease. It is very useful in a way that all persons entering a certain establishment like shopping malls will be logged into a database to facilitate faster contact tracing in case one of them will eventually turn out positive for coronavirus disease. Fourth is 3D printed ventilators. An engineering company in Italy is saving lives by making 3D printed medical valve that is used to treat victims of coronavirus disease. It is used to connect coronavirus patients to breathing machines. And lastly is artificial intelligence. Many people in UK, Germany, and China believe that coronavirus will be treated through the use of robots which act as an interface between a doctor and a patient, wherein they can carry out diagnostic and treatment processes, reducing the human contact and risk for transmission during the pandemic. It can also help in disinfection of some areas in hospital. They can also be used in close proximity to humans by installing a sense of touch based on sensors. That would be all. Thank you.
Engineers have stepped forward anew amidst this pandemic. The pandemic has, among others, resulted in a lack of healthcare equipment, which means that engineers are being utilized to help with the manufacture of essential equipments. The pandemic also offers engineers the opportunity to come to the fore with new products and unique solutions. The COVID-19 pandemic has emphasized the enormous shortage of protective medical equipment. This affords engineers opportunities to be at the forefront of the pandemic together with the essential workers such as medical personnel. Engineers in all their respective fields contribute, among others, to research, prediction models, data models, and online platforms regarding COVID-19. COVID-19 will have a lasting impact on numerous industries, and for engineers, it offers the possibility to rejuvenate their industry with new ideas, tendencies, opportunities, technologies, and broader cooperation. And to end this webinar, take time to watch this video.
What are the problems you and your community are facing in daily life due to coronavirus? We are being exposed to issues around us in a way we're not used to, and we think it's time for action. We are looking for creative and out-of-this-world ideas to help tackle the effects of COVID-19 around you. Be as imaginative as you can. This is what engineering designers call blue sky thinking. The problems you're seeing around you might seem very specific, but your solutions could help others in the same situations all around the globe. This is a global call for action for a global problem. How can we get messages to those who are offline and who maybe have never had to use technology before? Social distancing can produce loneliness. Can we help those who most need it reach out more easily and check in on their loved ones? What solutions could we have to stop the coronavirus from spreading to other people? And could any of them help us slowly get out of isolation? Diversity is what makes us thrive. We're all in this together, and different people might need different personal protective equipment, with some current designs not taking this into account. How can we re-engineer life-saving products to make them inclusive to all? Together, we can help create new ways for people to work. Drones delivering medicine to the NHS, football teams cooking meals for the local community, or converting a conference centre in less than 2 weeks into a hospital. What could we really use right now to improve an existing design or something that does not yet exist? Solutions can consider issues such as hygiene, sustainability, communication, transport, or mental health, to name a few. Be it as a team, with your primary or secondary school, college or university mates, get your friends, grandparents and kids together to pitch in with innovative solutions to help defeat coronavirus. You can be as creative as you want in sharing it too. Feel free to make explanatory videos and make your solution open source for the world to use. Once you've created your solution, submit your ideas through the forms in the Equal Engineers and iMechE websites. The winning teams for each category will get prizes including a £100 Amazon voucher, and we'll help arrange for you a site visit to one of our engineering company partners. Join the COVID-19 Student Challenge today.